I would like to extend a warm welcome to all members of the Cabinet, other members of the Council and officers in attendance at today's Cabinet meeting of the 1st of September. Welcome to members of the public and press who may be watching the meeting live on YouTube. I am Councillor Edward Heron, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. Please note that this meeting is being broadcast live on the Council's website and on YouTube. It will remain available for a minimum of 12 months. I would remind those in attendance to use your microphone when speaking and remember to switch it off once you are finished. Please switch any mobile devices to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. Members, it is with great sadness that we learnt that former New Forest District Councillor and Chairman Audrey Howe sadly passed away on the 21st of August. Audrey was first elected to District Council in 1991, representing the Blackfield and Langley ward, and served as a member for 12 years. The Chairman of the Council will speak further at the Council meeting on Monday evening, but I would like to express my and the Cabinet's sincere condolences to Audrey's family and friends for their loss. Right. For the benefit of those watching the meeting, I will now call the name of each Cabinet member and ask them to introduce themselves. As I previously mentioned, I'm Councillor Edward Heron, Leader of the Council and Chairman of the Cabinet. Councillor Cleary.
Good morning. Deputy Leader and Vice Chairman, Councillor Jill Cleary.
Councillor Andrews.
Good morning. Councillor Diane, Portfolio Holder for Planning, Regeneration and Infrastructure.
Councillor Davies.
Good morning, Councillor Steve Davis, Portfolio Holder for Environment and Coastal Services.
Councillor Harris.
Good morning, Councillor Michael Harris, Portfolio Holder for Business, High Streets and Tourism.
Councillor Jeremy Heron.
Good morning, Councillor Jeremy Heron, Portfolio Holder for Finance, Investment and Corporate Services.
And Councillor Steele.
Morning, Leader. Councillor Mark Steele, Portfolio Holder for Partnering and Wellbeing.
Thank you. Apologies. We have apologies from Councillor David Russell for this morning's meeting. I'm sorry to say that David has tested positive for COVID and is now at home isolating for 10 days. I have spoken to him. I would use this as an opportunity to highlight that he is double vaccinated. He at the moment has a cough, but it is mild. And I would just take this as an opportunity again to highlight that we are clearly seeing that people are able to still get COVID having been double jabbed, but that the severity of the disease, the speed of the recovery and the risk of it developing into a more serious condition is greatly reduced in those who take up the offer to have two vaccinations. So we wish David and other members of his family well and hope to see him back at the meeting soon. Moving to item 1 on the agenda, do Cabinet members agree the minutes of the 7th of July meeting as correct?
Agreed.
Excellent. Do Cabinet members have any declarations of any pecuniary or any other interest in respect to business for this meeting? And just any other members present who have any declarations? No. Moving to item 3. There are no public participants today. So moving straight on to item 4, which is an excellent one, which is the empty home strategy. Councillor Cleary, do you want to introduce that paper?
Thank you, Chairman. Members, I'm very pleased to deliver our latest housing strategy to deal with the issue of long-term empty properties in the district. Thankfully, we do not have large numbers of long-term empty properties, but any long-term empty property is one too many, in my view, when it could be utilised for much-needed housing purposes. Members, we will strike the correct balance of working with the owners to turn around empty properties for use, but we will not hesitate to use the wide range of powers open to us when we need to be firm in order to release these properties for the benefit of our communities. Members, I am very pleased to present this strategy. And on another note, I would really like to thank the Advertiser and Times for giving me front page coverage, because we've actually had 2 members of the public contact us and give us details of empty properties. So thank you.
Thank you. Connie, do you have anything you want to add? Thank you. Any members of the Cabinet want to comment on this one? Any other members of Council? Then we will move to the recommendation at 1, which is that the Cabinet recommend to Council the proposed empty home strategy be adopted. Are all Cabinet members in agreement?
Agreed.
Excellent. Moving on to item 5, which is the consultation on the draft partnership plan, National Park Partnership Plan. Diane, would like to introduce?
Thank you. This partnership plan is a management plan for the National Park, and partners work together to ensure that the park is sustained for future generations. We must address the many modern pressures affecting the park and surrounding areas. This partnership plan strengthens and sets out clear priorities and actions and encourages engagement with our communities. I welcome your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Claire, do you have anything you want to add?
No, thank you.
Excellent. Any members of the Cabinet want to comment? Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, very much looking forward to working with Diane, especially with regards to the well-being on this. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for all across the whole of the New Forest. So thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you. Before I go to that, any other members of the Council wish to comment? Malcolm?
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, I'm just curious how this works with the town and parishes, because we have the county and the district levels of local government, but there's no mention of town and parishes at all. And a lot of the National Park and on the periphery of National Park have town and parish councils, and their interests, how are they looked after by this partnership plan?
Don't know. If Claire, do you want to cover that one? I could comment as an ex-member of the National Park, but I won't. Claire.
Sorry, working closely with the National Park, we work across the town and parishes, sort of in our normal functions and as part of this partnership plan. I think a good example of this recently is the work we've been doing on the local walking and cycling strategy, when we've met with all the town and parishes across the whole of the area to get engagement and involvement.
Just come back, but I totally get that. But don't you think it would have been nice to see they're reflected in the plan and that interface, because it looks like they're totally ignored? That's just the point, really.
I think what I would say with this is we are a partner in this partnership plan, but it is obviously a National Park led, and I think what I would also just say on that, as you're aware, is that through their quadrant setup, the National Park do have quite a close contact with towns and parishes. They also attend and are part of NAFALC, and finally, many towns and parishes attend the New Forest Consultative Panel, which is a very good opportunity not only to reflect on towns and parishes, but also those wider interest organisations. So I would think that the Park Authority generally do have a reasonably good feel of engaging with stakeholders in their partnership plan. And yes, now I'll let you come back one last time.
Yeah, and I do understand that, and I understand about the work, great work they do, but I think it would be nice to see it reflected in the plan, is what I'm trying to say, because it does look like they've been excluded, but I know on the practical sense there is a lot of interaction, but it would be nice to see it reflected in the plan, then they'll feel it's inclusive rather than exclusive. Thank you.
Noted. Thank you. I'm not proposing to go through the paper by page, but Any other comments from Cabinet as we wrap up? And any other members of the Council? Then going to the recommendations at 1, which is to confirm support for the revised vision, objectives and actions. And secondly, to delegate authority to the Executive Head of Planning, Regeneration and the Economy to respond to the consultation. And I'm sure she will take on board the points that you've raised, Malcolm, in consultation with the portfolio holder. Are all members of the Cabinet agreed? Agreed. Excellent, thank you. Which is item 6, financial monitoring report. Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Leader. As you know, back in February, we set the general fund budget at £19.291 million for the coming year. This paper looks at how things have changed and the performance between April and July, and looking to make any amendments and changes that have come up. The amendments and changes are fairly minor. When we initially made this prediction, we made the allowance at the lowest level of increase in salaries. One of the changes within this paper obviously incorporates the latest position that currently is shown within the negotiations with the unions. Obviously that will be the lowest point at which settlement is agreed now, I think. It may still change from that, but we need to accommodate that within our budget. Also, there is some work on the revised health and leisure budget. You'll see that the revised estimates, the overall position doesn't change, but obviously there is some changes within that. Fairly minor from housekeeping, very comfortable. We remain in a strong financial position. The next paper will explain how that may not remain quite as good at the point as we are at the moment, but on this paper for this financial year, we remain in a good, strong position, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And got anything you want to add at this phase?
Not at this stage, thank you, Chairman.
Any questions or comments from Cabinet? Mark.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I'd just like to draw everyone's attention to 5.2, especially in particular health and leisure centres, the 2.4 million provision of capital finance for the centre enhancements programme, which is going to be funded from the Freedom Leisure contract, which was brought to this full council back in February 2021, Chair, and it was voted unanimously. Oh no, it wasn't. It was voted by all the Conservatives to actually approve that. So I would just like to make sure that's a capital C, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Any other members of the council want to comment? It is nice, can I just say at this point, it is nice to be back in this council chamber. I think our meetings are more productive, but thank you. So any more comments? Any other comments from members of the council? So going to the recommendations at 1 again, which is notes the latest budget forecast of the general fund, and recommends that the council approve the additional budget provision of 300,000 for housing void works, and notice the latest budget forecast, including the £180,000 shortfall in rental income within the HRA. Are all members in Cabinet agreement with that recommendation?
Agreed.
Excellent. Thank you. So moving now on to item 7, which is the medium-term financial plan. Jeremy, back to you again.
Thank you very much, Leader. Well, the financial plan is looking at the financial strategy of this council going forward to 2026. Obviously, the further into the future we go, the more assumptions that have to be made. Within this paper, I think anybody looking at it and notices the colour will notice that the major issue is the possibility of the reset on the business rates, which is liable to cost this council a significant amount of money, £1.73 million. I've got my fingers crossed and hoping the government don't get round to it this year, in the next year. But it's not, it is something that is coming down the track and something that we are going to have to accommodate. Within the plan, we still remain strong. We still remain with a good position, but we are still looking at overcoming towards the end of it, a cumulative deficit of over £2.2 million, which is not a small amount of money. So we are in a good, strong position. We are working to narrow that gap, and we will this Conservative administration, achieve that. We will work together and we will deliver that. But there are a number of variables, not least the proposals have changed to the way that local government is organised and the county, and that will be coming forward at a later date with the, what do they call it? I've lost it on the paper. County, what is it? County deal. County deal. Thank you very much, Leader. On the county deal, which indeed will have an effect as we work more in partnership, hopefully of delivering savings to all authorities within it and helping to deliver on that gap, although there may be costs associated with that. We remain in a fortunate position where we have sufficient funds to be able to finance change, and that is a very important thing. There are other organisations that find themselves without the ability to fund change, because usually that change requires some sort of capital investment up front. So strong position, but still a lot of work to do if we're going to deliver right through on our medium-term financial plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan, do you have anything you want to add at that stage?
No, thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments on the report from members of the Cabinet? And members of the Council? Malcolm.
That's kind. Thank you, Chairman. Yeah. On page 42 in the report, of course, is the classic local government line. Undoubtedly include difficult decisions on service delivery over this period, because there is a deficit. Can the Cabinet give us the indication of what services they look to cut? Because the local government default position in this is cut services, shed staff, put up prices. So which combination of those, or have you explored yet what area the axe is going to fall to try and rectify this deficit going forward?
Chairman, can I come back slightly on that? There is no policy at this time to reduce frontline services. What we are looking at, and we continue to do, is to work in innovative and new ways, working in partnership to deliver those savings. And we are confident that that is how we will manage to deliver it. We are not proposing to reduce services to our community.
Thank you, because I'll hold you back up to that.
Can I first of all say, I think we've been through lengthy periods of this. I think there are always different ways to look at things, but I think we have shown in this council that the first place we always look is changing at how we work. We know there are going to be changes to some services. We know from the environment bill and the changes there are going to be changes in waste. Unfortunately, these things tend to end up costing us more money, not saving us. But we know, but we always look, and the first place that we always look is how do we work more efficiently? How do we partner? So I don't think that one should look at these gaps, and I think we have a track record as an administration of closing these gaps within our medium-term financial plan, doing it in a way that is as far as possible ahead of time, so that we are not having to draw down too far on our cost of change reserve to implement them. And I think that as we work through this in the same way that we have done in the past with officers, we will work to close this gap as we go forward. Joe, have you got any more comments?
I just want to say that further on this paper, item 9, you'll see one of those ways in which we are looking to maximise the return for this council and create a different stream of income. It's a project that's now been going for just over 2 years, is delivering well. We hope to step it up, and it will be that item 9, we've got an exciting new part in that, which will deliver for the whole of the community, and hopefully should deliver on narrowing that gap as well.
Yeah, of course.
I think that's important. I'm glad to hear that, because giving the high quality services to the level of the New Forest, the people of the New Forest, it should be this council's #1 priority. Whatever it takes, we must give the people of New Forest in a post-pandemic world the best help to improve their quality of life that we can do. And that is what we will hold you to.
Malcolm, I do agree, and I do want to close it, but what I will say is that in this post-pandemic world, we also have to recognise that our residents' priorities also change in time. And one of those, and I think an important one that we will see more of as we go forward, is I think that focus on the environment is there. I think it's always been there, but I think it is moving up our residents' priority list, as it has been moving up ours for some time, and I'm sure we will see more of that going forward. Members, any other members want to comment on this report? Then I will go to the recommendations at 1, which is that the revised MTPFP, the whole lot, the revised medium-term financial plan outlined within the report and appendices been adopted, and that the reporting timeline as set out in section 8 be agreed, and those are recommendations to council. Are all members in agreement?
Agreed.
Excellent, thank you. And that moves us on to item 9, which I will go to. Michael, can you introduce this paper, please?
Thank you, Leader. Well, my Cabinet colleague to my left has already given you a slight headline on this one. It is very exciting. I've been in this council for 10 years, and it's certainly the biggest investment this council has made in that time, and I think it's the biggest investment this council has made ever. We are planning to allocate £8.4 million of our reserves, and thank goodness we do have reserves because we have needed them. You never know when a seawall's going to collapse or something's going to happen that you need some money to fall back on, but we're going to use our reserves, which currently earn us less than 1%. This project, as the conclusion says, will produce somewhere around 5% return, but most importantly, it will provide employment space for our businesses and their employees that they will take on as we emerge out of the pandemic and look to grow our local economy and indeed the economy of the nation. So I'm very supportive of this project. My Cabinet colleague I referred to earlier, we've both been working on this for a couple of years now. We purchased the land. We now move to this next exciting stage where we build some premises on it for our local businesses, which will produce income and economic benefit for this area. I have nothing further to say at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Anything you want to add at this point?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Chairman, as you know, I consider Ringwood to be the centre of the New Forest. Some people seem to think it's on the edge. I can't understand how they've misunderstood that. So I am delighted to see this project coming forward in our town. As my colleague has already said, one of the biggest things we've ever taken on. But it delivers in so much for this district and in so many of its priorities. It is just amazing. It delivers for us financially in the long run. It delivers growth and employment within the district, another tick in the box. And also, those of you who have seen our local plan, part 1, will have seen that someone put a lot of houses in Ringwood somehow. But it's going to deliver employment where we are putting the houses, which surely must tick our green agenda, trying to provide both parts at the same point so that commuting, one of the biggest polluters that we have, is kept to a minimum. So yet again, it ticks on our green agenda. So what more could we say than what a brilliant project, and I'm just looking forward to it coming to fruition.
Thank you. Alan or Andrew, do you have anything to add at this point?
Chairman, just to reiterate the comments, I think it's really testament to the council that we are prepared to do our bit in terms of bringing forward employment land into use. And as the report states, the creation of circa 150 to 200 jobs to be sustained on site, I think is a really positive, and as we say, meets a lot of the council's priorities and objectives. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I go out to other members of Cabinet and Council, I will say that this is an incredibly exciting project, but I think for my mind, I hope that it is the precursor of things to come in the future. I think, as Jeremy said, it is excellent that we are investing in this way in the west of the forest, but I think there are equally going to be opportunities in the future in the east and the south, I suspect, of our district. And I think that, you know, this is a fantastic project. I do have to do a plug here to say that, you know, I think it is an incredible accolade of our investment policy that we are twin targeting that investment into both getting alternative income streams for this council, but equally, and perhaps to my mind more importantly, prospering the economic development for our residents. That has to be our key priority, because, you know, we all know investments have swings and turns and they change. If we're going to protect ourselves in that, I think the two things are: one is we better understand the market in which we are investing, and, you know, we're better to understand than our own district. And secondly, to understand that it is delivering more than just that economic income. And I say that as I look at those that perhaps have extended far greater sums of borrowing to invest in commercial property across the country. I think, you know, we have got to accept there are changes, and I don't think I would want to be overexposed in markets I didn't understand. But I am incredibly pleased with this paper and this recommendation. So at that, are there any other comments from members of the council? Malcolm, you want to?
Actually, I think it's a really good idea as well. And actually, I'm surprised it's taken this sort of administration so long to realise the benefits from this type of development, both economically and for the people who live around it. And long may you continue to think in the 21st century, because it's about time you did. Thank you very much.
Chairman, can I also mention one other thing on this, which I did forget to mention in my statement, and that is the fact that where we are building this, we are going for BREEAM Very Good, which is above the requirement that we need, but we believe it is important to deliver on that green credential and push the boundaries wherever we can. So we are working on that as well, which I think is very important.
Thank you. Councillor Benison.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a question, page 53, just a question for understanding. Two tables, line 2 and line 4.
Can I ask that you use the paragraph number, because those of us looking online don't have the same page numbers. So can you tell us the paragraph number of the report?
It is after 7.4.2, which is the two tables after that. And in the tables, you've got line 2 expenditure, and then line 4 is state service charge income. They appear to contra each other. Just a little bit of explanation as to what the expenditure is and then what this service charge income is.
Alan, or do you want to do that one, or?
Yep, happy to explain that one, Chairman. So yeah, obviously there are going to be costs incurred running the site, but those costs essentially will be recharged through to the tenants through service charges. So cost of wraparound insurance, maintenance, that general expenditure that is then rechargeable, hence why the figures equate to each other.
Thank you.
Any other members of the council? What I will say is I do just want to come back on Malcolm's comment on us being late to do this. I think two things I would say. I would say one is that I think there's a world of difference between investing in the economic regeneration of your district and borrowing money to invest in commercial property across the country solely as a hope for an income. I think that the risks are different. And secondly, I think there is a slight issue that we are a little late to the table. There are a number of authorities that have larger established paid off property investments that haven't been sold off. I think the interesting thing to look at those is that when you look at Test Reality or Basingstoke, none of them have had a Liberal Democrat administration that have sold them off in the past. But with that, moving to the recommendation, it is proposed that Cabinet, having considered the recommendations, recommends to Council, and then at little 1 and 2, the allocation of 8.45 million. The contractor, as as recommended in the confidential appendix, and unless any members of Cabinet indicate otherwise, I don't propose to discuss that. And commence the marketing and letting of the sites. Are members of Cabinet happy to agree those 3 recommendations to Council?
Agreed.
And with that, I know I missed item 8 off the agenda, which is the meeting dates. So, members, on that, are we happy to agree the meeting dates which are listed at item 8 on the agenda paper?
Agreed.
Excellent. With that, I believe that brings us to the end of the meeting. So, can I say thank you very much? And I declare the meeting closed.